Hello and welcome to a special episode of Set Musings. We've got the pre-release coming up, so this video is going out on the 28th of August, so it's a Sunday. The pre-release will start the weekend of the 3rd, possibly the Friday the 2nd, and then the following week, September the 9th, we're going to have actually the release date. So there's 281 cards, what they call in boosters, but I'm just going to unpack this a little bit before I go through, because things get very complicated now in terms of where things are. I'm not going to get too granular, but what I want to do is just try and orientate a little bit at a level above even when we're talking about alternative prints and stuff like that. So you've got set, drafter and collector boosters. All of those boosters should contain a legendary card in each booster, and you'll see that there is a throwback element to this particular set. There's something like more than 40 legendary creatures across the set, and I'll go into all the different, like I say, the art, different types of art in a moment. But on top of this, you have, if you like, a parallel release of the Commander, Dominaria United Commander product, and also set related jumpstart boosters, which my understanding is those replace the theme boosters. So we have draft boosters, we have collectors boosters, we have set boosters, we have, instead of theme boosters, we have jumpstart boosters. Now, and of course there's things like box toppers and stuff like that, which I believe are being referred to as Legends Retold, and we probably see those as we look through. The other thing is this thing called Lost Legends. So in selected collector boosters, there's an original card from Legends, supposedly found in an old warehouse. These Lost Legends appear in 3% of boosters, and not every card from Legends was included. Some cards were missing because of the well-known Legends collation problems, and various other reasons as well. So, because you're talking about older cards, so it's obviously going to be some things that are problematic. But because these are original cards are being used, they don't violate the reserve lists. So just so you know, there's these actual throwback cards which were printed in a bygone era that are floating around. There's a new token which we will talk about, the generation of that. A lot of the stuff you're going to see is throwback themes and mechanics, so kicker, domain. There's a new thing called read ahead, and there's some things called stun counters. Poison counters are in the set. So again, and I'll go through this individually, but just to recap some of what I've said there in terms of the themes, mechanics and keywords abilities. So you've got legendary creatures, you've got legendary matters, you've got multicolour throwbacks. So you've got multicolour and you've got throwbacks. You've got stun counters, something called power stones, which may not be apparent if you're just opening a limited amount of product. Same with poison counters, and we'll see why in a moment. Keywords, ability words, domain, kicker, read ahead, and enlist. So set size is 281, but then there's 153 additional printings of cards that are in the 281 set size. Now also, I just scroll down here quickly before we get onto the also, so we can just get a feel for the overall aesthetics of the set. I will go through the individual groups of alternate artworks for this, but I just wanted to scroll through these in boosters so you can sort of see here. It's an interesting bone splinters artwork. You'll notice some of the cards here, the scans are a little bit grainy. That's unfortunate. You know, it's a trade-off for me, trying to do this sort of set musings as early as I can. You won't always get the better resolution scans in Scryfall as you would if you were to wait, say, you know, a few more weeks until probably after the actual proper set release. But again, it's a trade-off. I like to get these set musings out for new stuff as early as I can. Basically, the proviso is, do all the cards appear in set musings, and secondly, are all the cycles listed in MTG Wiki? Because I can't go through the set obviously and work out the cycles myself. I need a bit of help there. Unfortunately, it also means that because MTG Wiki is constantly being updated, there's going to be some other thematic things that I may well miss outside of cycles. And you can see here we've moved through the monocolour cards. There's a number of multicolour cards, and you'll see, you know, we've got throwbacks in the name, throwbacks in a number of the mechanics of the set. But certainly if you're aware of an earlier era of Magic, you may recognise some of the names. Also, you'll notice that there may well be a number of reprints here as well, but we'll particularly focus on those and some nice new artwork. So let's go back to the top again. Just in passing, Dominaria United Commander. So it's 238 cards that are currently listed in Scryfall. Sometimes this used to lag a little bit behind the set, but I believe these commander decks are going out at the same time, and at the moment I see 2 listed in MTG Wiki. For some reason I thought there was going to be 4. I don't know where I read that, but at the moment there's 2 listed, and we'll take a look at those in overview. But I just wanted to quickly sort of show you. So at the moment we've got 20 new cards listed. We have some what are called booster exclusives, set booster exclusives. Legends Retold, there's 20 of those. We've got Etch Foil, and then we've got 160 reprints. So, you know, take what you will from that. I'm going to be honest, I'm not an expert on how this all breaks down and where these cards necessarily appear, beyond, you know, obviously the vast majority of them appearing within the commander decks themselves, but clearly, as you can see by the artwork, I suspect that those appear in other product as well. Got 10 other cards here, so yeah. Right, back to the actual Dominaria United set, because that's why we're here. So as I said, 281 cards in the boosters. We've got 5 jumpstart cards, because I mentioned they were releasing jumpstarts alongside this, or jumpstart boosters. We've got 44 showcase cards, so you can see with this rather impressive artwork. And so with those, you know, you tend to find they have some things in there that are, you know, unique to this particular set in terms of the look. Looks like we've got some Phyrexian language cards. We've got 41 textured foil cards. You can see the similar style there. We've got 5 borderless planeswalkers. You can see the overspill. Six alternate art borderless cards. I'll come back to these in a moment in their regular form. 45 extended artwork cards. One buy box card, and you've got these 6 promo cards, and that's it. So 22 cards in the set are reprints, and going forward I'm only going to show the what I call the regular in booster artwork for the purpose of these, so we don't get too confused. So yeah, 22 cards reprints. But because of the throwback nature of the set, you might notice there are certain names which you might recognise from before that come up whilst the card itself is not a reprint. And there, you know, there's probably going to be a thin line between that and what we've known as namesake cards. You know, that's where a planeswalker might be name checked by the use of the planeswalker's name in, say, another creature card or a sorcery card. And I'm going to be doing M14 as my next set, and you see that in M14. So it's slightly different with the throwbacks. They're not necessarily a namesake card as such within, say, a cycle. You'll notice that there's a cycle in here, but it's incomplete. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards here. The Pain Lands, which were first printed in Ice Age and then in Apocalypse, last seen in 10th edition. The other 4 are going to be printed in the Brothers' War. So these are all at rare. I'm sure we'll see them again later in this episode. We've got 244 new cards, which are not reprints. 15 cards which are colourless, so that excludes land. So for this, you can see that these are all artifacts of some description, but also there is one legendary planeswalker, Khan, which isn't of a type artifact. And you'll see here this is one of the cards that can be you can create a tapped Power Stone token. I believe the other Power Stone card is actually contained within the Commander product. We've got 195 cards that are a single casting cost colour. We've got 31 cards which are 2 colour in the casting cost. And no doubt I suspect, you know, there might be some cycles within here, which we'll see. And then we've got 6 cards which have more than 2 colours. And again, interestingly, you can probably see here, we've got some 3 colour cards. And you might notice that, yeah. So one aspect of the throwback nature coming through. There's also, you know, a 5 colour, like a Wooburg legendary creature as well. So 41 creatures which have white in the casting cost. So often the reason I do this is just to get a feel if there's like a tribal bias in certain colours that might be coming out. So we are in white. You'll see that there's a number of like triple types, whatever you want to call them, you know, like a type and then a couple of subtypes. So you can see we've got a number of monocolour legendary creatures as well. Looks like humans is probably going to be the predominant creature subtype here. We've got some Phyrexian humans as well. You can see a few there. Few angels, and then of course there's some multicoloured cards which feature white in them. And obviously they're going to have a creature type which is a, you know, is part of their, you know, another aspect of their colour identity or their casting cost identity. Yeah, we'll look at things like tribal lords as well. That might give you a better idea. So with blue, so again we're seeing lots of humans here. We've got some wizards. There's a human pirate turtle. We've got some few merfolks here. Again, I'm going through this a bit fast, but it's always good to just see as well with the creature subtypes, like what ones tend to be at common, because you know if you're drafting this, then those are the ones you're going to see more. And if you do like to do tribal drafting, that can be quite important. And we've got again some subtypes here which are throwbacks, like things like a Freet. And there also might be some subtypes here that we don't see a lot in Magic. Possibly. So moving on to our creatures which have black in the casting cost. Again, you can see, you know, reference to Phyrexian here in here. Again, looks like we might have humans across all colours, which isn't unusual in Magic sets. There's a Phyrexian horse. Phyrexian goblin, Phyrexian praetor. Again, you can see just there's loads of throwback names here to characters. And if you remember as well, though I haven't said it, but I think most people will probably work it out, is, you know, Dominaria United is obviously on the there's going to be references to characters that are part of that plane. I hadn't really noticed, but this is the coalition symbol overlapping with a Benenless shield apparently. So red, well, we've come to expect goblins in red. So again, looking down, what do we see at the lower rarities? got pretty diverse here. I mean, again, more humans. And we've got some dragon hydras and a goblin noble. Let's see, squee. And then in the multicoloured cards, more characters from a bygone era. And then in green, oh, we have a badger. Cool. Yeah, more Phyrexian creature subtypes and elves and tree folks, dryad warriors, ape shaman, territorial morrow, Urborg Lurgoyf. You have a Maya iconoclast, yeah, so stuff is all over the set. King Darien, and then Joda the Unifier. So big spells. So big spell here again. I've used that sort of Eldrazi set yardstick where in that set it was really anything over 6 mana. 6 CMC. So again, just to keep it consistent. So we have 7 cards that fit that bill. Sorcery, creatures, enchantments are in the sagas are in the set. The creature, zombie giant, Helion, tree folk. So just going from 7 mana to 8. So nothing huge like we might have seen in other sets, or super huge. So I mentioned there's a lot of legendaries in the set. So 41 cards have the type legend. Well, these are, sorry, let me dial that back. Creature legendaries. So 41 creature legendaries. We'll come on to the planeswalkers in a moment, and you can see we've got some in monocolours, although it looks like it's not across all monocolours, but you can see quite a number of 2 colours, and there's again this, it looks like it could be a cycle excuse me, in 3 colours. Now, oh yeah, that's why I wanted this. So we got cares about legendary. So yeah, 7 cards where they mention legendary somewhere in the Oracle text. Now you can see a few of these are also legendaries as well, 2 there, but the key thing here is it's ones that mention something about a legendary in there, in the Oracle text. So there is in here some cards, a number of cards where the colour identity is not monocolored, but the casting cost is, and that's because they have an activation cost for something that is in a different colour than the casting cost. So we've got quite a lot of cards where the colour identity is not monocoloured. So there's 99 of those cards, which is different than when I go through and I look at the casting colours and the number of cards there. So you can see if I scroll through this, there's quite a few of those before we actually get to colour identities, because there's multiple colours in the casting cost. So the first ones are where it's because there's a one colour here and then a different colour or different colours somewhere in here, and you can see quite a few of these. It's related to the kicker cost in some way. So clearly, yeah, big on multicolour in lots of different ways. Throwbacks, I thought this might be a good way of doing it as well, is if you look, if you have a list here, this is still 434 cards, but you can sort of see as we look down, just with the names, there's all sorts of references to earlier characters, earlier places in Magic's history, particularly with reference to Dominaria. But as we'll see, of course, the throwback element is also in the within the actual themes and mechanics and keywords and abilities. So stun, this is moving through some of the other themes and mechanics here. So with these are stun counters. So where are we? Tap target creature and put 3 stun counters on it. If a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, remove 1 from it instead. So just 3 of those. We've got something I mentioned called Power Stones. In the set itself, there's only 1 card that references this, but in the Dominaria United Commander card, there is another card which references Power Stone. Power Stone tokens. 1 card that references poison in the set. There is an alternative win condition card, but it's in the Dominaria United Commander product. We've got domain in the set, so with domain, you can see here it's dependent on the basic land types among lands you control. So the effect that this domain gives you is interdependent on the number of basic land types among lands you control, and of course the particular thing it gives you will scale on that. So that's domain, and that's an old mechanic. Got Kicker, another old one. That's originally from the Invasion block. So with Kicker, you can pay an additional cost as you cast this spell, and if it was kicked, you get something. And you'll notice here, with some of these, there is a choice in terms of if there's coloured mana involved, what colour of mana. I'm not sure if there's any here where also the type of thing you get kicked is dependent on which colour of mana you chose. But that, I think, is something that we may have seen before. But it doesn't look like it's here. So anyway, there's Kicker. So you can get an additional effect, and what that is obviously documented in the rules text. So this is new. This is read ahead. So with read ahead, and you can see it's only present on Enchantment Sagas. So with read ahead, choose a chapter and start with that many lore counters. Add 1 after your draw step. Skip chapters don't trigger. Sacrifice after 3. So yeah, you can just opt to skip chapters. Then we have enlist in here, so let's take a look. As this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until end of turn. You can see that's the same on all the cards. Not surprisingly, because of the nature of the of this, it's only on creatures. So now on to cycles. We've got double enemy colour kickers. So this is where the casting cost is monocolour, but the kicker costs are enemy colours. So there's 5 of those in the set. And if you look, what you see is that it basically just adds the effect, you know, when it was kicked. So it's got here, let's use this first one as an example. So we can kick with black and or red. You may pay an additional red and or a black and or. So that's the other thing with this. You notice there's and or. So you can opt to do both. So this is almost like a twist on multi-kicker in some ways. So when Archangel of Wrath enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target. When Archangel of Wrath enters the battlefield, it was kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target. But because of the way this is, you can see that if you want to kick it twice, there is you know, a certain colour requirement to do that. So it's not like multi-kicker where you're just doing the same thing again and again and again, as much mana you can put into it. If you want to do this twice, you've got to do 1 and a white and 1 and a blue. Should I say 1 and a blue? So again, some interesting, you know, twists in here. Cycle of Defilers, they all have Defiler in the name. They're all Phyrexian creatures that allow you to pay 2 life instead of coloured mana and give you an additional benefit whenever you cast a permanent spell of that colour. So interesting way they've integrated Phyrexian, you know, the mechanic of Phyrexian mana into the game without actually having Phyrexian mana. You know, as in terms of a symbol. So these ones, that's obviously another cycle. This is the Tribal Lords. So of course this gives you a better clue as to what might be going on in certain colours. So we've got 1 for white, which is the soldiers one. 1 for blue, the merfolk. The black one is clerics. The red one is goblins, and the green one is elves. And you can see they all give other goblin or other, you know, the particular creature +1/+1, but then there's an additional ability, at least one on here, that you can do. domain rares, so 5 rares or higher spells. Yeah, because one of them is a mythic. It's just one, or is it 2? Yeah, only one. So rare or higher, which spells with 5 distinct applications of domain. So you can see that they're all quite different ways in which they leverage that domain mechanic. Should I say domain ability? Now, this looks like I made a mistake on. So these are a cycle of sagas, and let me just have a look while I there we go, that's better. So we've got a cycle of rare or above. So there's one mythic rare in here of sagas, with a read ahead that depicts notable moments in Dominaria's past. Now there's also, so the sagas are, it's not an uncommon, but there's a cycle of uncommon, and these are 5 uncommon sagas with read ahead that depict notable moments from Dominaria's past. So that would appear what happens within read ahead. You can sort of see here, but also there's probably some, again, throwback references to some degree or another here. I mean, some it's probably quite loose. You can sort of see, if you're familiar with magic storylines, what might well be going on in the artwork. So we've got some quite heavy cycles now. There's 20 uncommon spells that have off-colour kicker, 1 in each colour for each of their colours. So that would be 4 in each. So, you know, in white we've got, there's the red one, there's the black one, the blue one, the green one. In blue, red, green, white, black. In black, red, green, blue, white. In red, blue, white, green, black, and then in green, blue, white, black, red. So yeah, uncommon, off-colour kicker spells. And you won't be surprised to know there's also 20 common off-colour kicker spells. Same thing, so 4 in each colour, and the kicker component is one of the 4 other colours from the casting colour. So we saw the 2 colour kicker stuff here. These are all the single colour kicker things. A cycle of cost reducers. So 5 expensive common creatures that have an inbuilt method of cost reduction. I'm seeing some cards. There's a card here with ward on. So again, the mechanics that I'm going through and the keywords and abilities tend to be stuff that is specific for the theme of the set, but obviously be mindful that there may well be other keywords and abilities which are in the set which won't necessarily be highlighted. We've got a cycle of tricolour legends, so 5 mythic rare tricolour legendary creatures. And I'm sure you may recognise some of the names and characters that are referenced here. There's some interesting modal stuff, I think, with at least one of these. So I've got a bit of utility there. We've got a cycle of 2-colour rare legends, so 10 rare dual-coloured legendary creatures. 10 of those. Here I've mashed 2 things together. So you've got these signpost cards. So there's 10 of each type. There's what I think they're calling the gold signpost card. So there's 10 uncommon dual coloured legendary creatures with a signpost for each drive archetype, and I'll just point these out. So it's this one here, this one, sorry, maybe I don't know if I've got the highlight thing on here. Let me just do this again. So it's Wrath, Weatherlight Stalwart, Vohar, Voldalian Desecrator, Legomos, Hand of Hatred, Rada, Coalition Warlord, Zar, Ajanin, Scion of Efrava, I think that is, Elas Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, Balmor, Battle Mage Captain, Bortuk, Bone Rattle, Baird, Argavian Recruiter, and Nail, Avizoa Aeronaut. There we go. So those are the gold signpost cards, and you can see they indicate a possible draft archetype that you might want to explore if you were drafting these. The other thing is there's some 3-pip signpost ones. So these are the ones where you've got a single of one colour and then 2 of another. They're dual coloured, as I said, 2 mana of one colour and 1 colour of another, each an additional signpost for a draft archetype. So you can sort of, see if there are similarities between this one and this one, or maybe it's exploring a slight twist of the draft archetype. So for this particular one, the 3-pip signpost, you've got Tura, Kennerid Skylight, Rona, Shieldred's Faithful, Garner, Bloodfist of Keld, Ruluk Mons, Warren Chief, Queen Alenal of Roda, I think that is, Aaron, Benalia's Ruin, Nigel the Stormrunner, Urg, Spawn of Turg, Tor, Devenant, Fury Rider, and Tatova, Steward of Tides. No doubt I've mangled a few of those. So, what else? Common tap lands. Where would we be without some sort of nerfed dual land at common to help us fix our mana in a multicoloured set? So you can see here you're probably used to seeing these sort of cards before, and there's 10 of them, one for each of the colour combinations. Some couple of mirrored pairs. We've got 2 uncommon creatures with Defender and an activated ability related to the number of creatures with Defender. We've got Knight of Dawn's Light and Knight of Dust's Shadow. If you're curious, let's just look and see within the set how many cards actually are Defender. So we've got 10 Defender cards. So as we saw, there's a couple there where they relate to the amount of Defender cards. And when we had a look at Knight of Dawn's Light and Knight of Dusk's Shadow. 20 mythics in the set. And you can see we've got a bit of a mixture here. Some of these are creatures, we've got enchantments, we've got legendary planeswalkers, we've got a saga. A number of these, as you have already seen, are these 3 colour legendary creatures. We've already seen Khan. We've got Timeless Lotus, Silex and Weatherlight completed. So there's also legendary artifact vehicles in the set as well. Here's our lands apart from basic lands in totality. So we've got 19 non-basic lands. So 10 of those are going to be your common tap lands. But additionally, as I mentioned at the start of this episode, I think it's 6 of these Pain lands which have been reprinted, and the other 4 are going to be printed in the Brothers' War apparently. So bearing that in mind, what else do we have here? So additionally, so we've got 10 plus 6 is 19, so the remaining 3 are Crystal Grotto, which has got Scry stapled to it, and it can generate colourless mana, but also it can do some filtering here. We've got Plaza of Heroes, which generates colourless mana, but you can see there's a conditional 1 mana of any colour, spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell. There's another one here which is add 1 mana of any colour among legendary permanents you control, and then an additional ability, so 3, tap it, you exile it, and then target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Then we've got Thrawn Portal. So it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a basic land type. It's the chosen type in addition to its other types, and mana abilities of Thrawn Portal cost an additional 1 life to activate. Interestingly enough, it's a gate. And I don't see any other gates here. Now, if you're familiar with the Pain lands, the 6 that are in the set, you'll also know that they do reference the land types, whereas opposed the sorry, I'll start that again. Sorry, I miss said that. So the tap lands that are used in this set are interesting in that they have this reference in their subtype to, the land subtype like Island and Swap. The Pain lands don't. These Pain lands don't. So, and they, of course, they never did, because the Pain lands are reprinted. But it's interesting what they've done with these cards. And again, that has implications for cards in, Magic cards that are out there. that specifically reference, you know, finding a forest or an island or whatever, you know, in your library. So yeah. $20 basic land artworks. So we've got 3 each of, you know, what you might call regular artwork, and then 1 of this sort of special full artwork in each of the colours. 49 legendaries, of which some are legendary planeswalkers. But as you can see, we're sort of lacking in certain monocoloured legendaries. But because of the various cycles in the set, we've got, like, if you like, a full complement of 2-colour legendary creatures. Well, twice over. And again, with the legendary planeswalkers, it's not across the board in all the different colour combinations, or even in the monocolours. And then of course we've got this cycle of 3 colours and a single 5-colour. Additionally, beyond the legendary creatures and legendary planeswalkers, you've also got legendary artifact, a legendary artifact vehicle, legendary that is a legendary planeswalker, another legendary artifact, and another legendary artifact vehicle. So a couple of vehicles that are legendary and a couple of artifacts that are legendary. So 157 creatures in the set. 16 enchantments, of which you can see there are a number of sagas which we've had a look at already. So if we, so 16 enchantments in total. If we do that, there's 10 sagas. So a little bit of math will tell you that there's 8 enchantments that are either enchantments or auras. And if we also take out the auras from that equation, we've got 6. In fact, in the first one of those I sort of didn't remove the auras as well, but I think you get the gist there. So 6 enchantments and 10 saga enchantments. 2 auras, that's all. We've got 5 artifact creatures, of which 1 is colour, is not a colourless, like, you know, a lot of, well, we've seen colourless, we've seen colour artifacts before in sets, but in this particular set the vast majority of these artifact creatures are colourless creatures. 2 pieces of equipment, so not a ton of equipment, which is interesting. We have in here 8 other artifacts, of which you can see we've got a couple of vehicles. So 2 out of the 8 are vehicles. And you can see there's some interesting stuff here. So you've got domain 5, draw, yep. There's meteorites in the set as well. And so always interesting to see what rarity there might be some mana rocks at in a multicoloured set. 35 instants. You can see within here we've got some kicker stuff. And as you look down, you can sort of see how there might be certain twists to things you might see in those colours if you were, say, looking at a instance in, say, a core set where it's fairly straightforward. So there might be some thematic things. Certainly, in terms of keywords and abilities, we're seeing in this particular instance, kicker appearing on instance. We've got a target counter target creature spell here. We've got some conditional stuff going on as well. Bit of peeking and dealing with non-creature spells. What's our instant speed destruction in black? Oh, here we go. What's our removal in red? We've got some pump, so some asymmetric pump here. More kicker. There's our green removal, how we deal with artifacts, enchantments, or a creature with flying in green. Interesting, that's all together. Some pump. And again, we're seeing kicker through this. So yeah, some couple of bits of removal in green there at least. Sorcery speed stuff, tokens in white, conditional destruction in blue. We got card draw, some bounce. What's our sorcery speed removal in black light? So we got blown splinters in here, has been reprinted. It's more kicker as well. Hand disruption, graveyard shenanigans. What's our red sorcery like? Oh, there's our 5 damage red spell. It's our momentary control type thing you often see in red. You can sort of pinch stuff till the end of turn. There's an interesting modal spell here. So sorcery speed, modal destruction. So we've got artifact, creature with defender and 1 damage. Tokens. Basic land tutoring. So back to the 281 regular artwork cards. I don't know if there's anything I really want to add much more to this. Obviously there's probably quite a lot of stuff I've missed, but that's the idea with the set Musings. It's just gives me a bit of a way of just getting first impressions of the set, which then acts as a nice sort of gateway into if you want to delve deeper and start looking at wider draft strategies and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go through all the cards individually, but it's always worth having a look at the prices currently. Now remember, this set hasn't been released yet. We're not even, we're still just under a week away at this point from the pre-release. So what are these clocking in at? So again, it's going to show sort of both pieces of artwork here. So generally the more elaborate artwork, the different types of that, are going to be the more expensive ones. And you can see that's true here. So we'll just do the usual thing of just going down till we get to that $20 cutoff. So when we get to this one, you can see this is actually the same card, but this is obviously the regular artwork, which is slightly cheaper. Got Shieldred again. Is that a, yeah, so Sarah Paragon. So we're sitting at around the $30 mark here with cards, and we get to Timeless Lotus. 24, starting to get, so we, yeah, normally I go down to, what is it, $10, so, oh, there's Jaya. So the other artwork for Sarah Paragon, so Joda. So at this point in proceedings, you know, I'm expecting to see quite a lot of cards above the $10 mark, and then as prices stabilise a bit, once stuff gets released, you might see adjustments to this. There's Braids, Arisen Nightmare, Ajani, Sleeper Agent. That's the one with has got Phyrexian mana in it and is poison as well. So we've got both sort of things are going on. You remember I said there were cards which appeared to do the Phyrexian thing, but didn't have the Phyrexian mana reference in them, whereas this one does. So there's quite a few there, hovering just above $20. Now we're down to 17. And again, we're seeing, you know, the different different artwork here alongside the regular artwork, and how that might be obviously have an impact on the price there. So this will be the one for the regular artwork for Silverback Elder. $14, we're getting there slowly. Regular Kiln. The regular Jaya, we saw the other one earlier, so we saw this one. So you can see there's a $10 price difference at least there. Well, it's actually twice the price almost. Anyway, this artwork is, so here's a regular artwork, $12. Suvian Duplo Manasy. Yeah, it's almost as if, as well as some of these, there's a throwback in some way to the artwork as well on some cards. And now, oh, still just above $10. And you can see some of these cards are available in, that's interesting. Oh, that must be the foil one, I suppose, with the asterisks next to it. Here's our regular artwork, Ajani. Yeah, so we just dropped below $10 for the fancy artwork, Defiler of Dreams. Cool. So let's just have a look at the EDH rec rank. Now, of course, what's going to tend to happen here is, you know, we're in very, very early days of the set, so the sort of things we're going to see bubbling to the top are going to be our reprints. So no surprise to see Negate here, no surprise to see the various artwork versions of these cards. I wonder if I can just lock it into, no, it's not going to do that. Okay, it's showing multiple versions of the same artwork. Not that it matters because they're side by side. Yeah, you can, if you're familiar with the, this is quite cool, if you're sort of familiar with the artwork from that, you know, Ice Age, I think it is where these originally come from. These, you know, these 6 Pain Lands that they've reprinted. You'll probably notice similarities of those. And I don't know how much I've had the artwork for the old style on camera, but I think the video I did with the No Hand No Land toolkit, I'm pretty sure I had some old school Sulphur Spring artwork somewhere in amongst all of that. And then these are the echoes of earlier artwork. So I'm assuming, if I can get in fairly easily. What are people building already? No, nothing. Okay. Yeah, no surprise. Now, of course, Dragon Whelp is a reprint. So, if you go in, you'll see, yeah, a bit more present in a few decks. But as I've said, no surprise to see this group of cards, the Painlands, the 6 Painlands that are included here, bubbling to the surface. Which is one of those then? Oh, actually I can show you on here. I forgot about that. Let me just do this alongside so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I should have thought of doing this. Yeah, can you see here? So if you're familiar with the Ice Age artwork, there's the new one. So the one I was interested, let's have a look at the original. So have they? Yeah, it looks like maybe they aren't pulling consistently from the same set in terms of that, what artwork they try and represent in a different way. Because in some ways this looks similar to this, which is more the 9th edition onwards artwork, so it isn't a particular. I thought they might just settle on, maybe, I don't know, the Ice Age print, seeing as that was the first time it was printed, but it looks like that's not the case. Let's just have a quick look at Yavimaya Coast, because otherwise I'm going to spend hours looking at all of these. So let's see. Oh, of course, as well, some of these, yeah, sorry, can I just correct that actually? So, of course, 5 of these would have been in Ice Age and 5 of these would have been in Apocalypse. Yeah, so that as well. And then, was it all 10 were reprinted in 10th edition and 9th edition? Yeah, it's sort of coming back to me now. So that's going to affect it a little bit. So yeah, it would be correct to say that the Allied Painlands were first printed in Ice Age, and then the enemy ones were printed in Apocalypse. First printed in Apocalypse. Interesting. Okay, I think I better stop there because I'll start durdling around in the artwork. So let me just. It's because of all the ads running. That does happen. In terms of the pre-constructed decks on MTG Wiki at the moment, it lists 2 commander decks in here: Painbow and Legends Legacy. And I think I have those pages open. Damn it. 1 display commander, 1 full commander, 2 additional 4 legendary cards, 97 regular cards, 10 double-sided tokens, 1 deck box, 1 life wheel, 1 collector's booster. Okay, that's interesting. Sample pack with 2 cards in it. Okay. Eight additional cards with the DMC code can only be found in the set and collector boosters. They aren't found in the deck. Okay, that now I'm starting to, it's starting to answer questions when I went through earlier. Painbow. Ooh, look at that mana base. Wow. 39. Crikey, that's got all manner of non-basics in it. Is that chromatical? Did I just see that? Yeah. Okay. What are we doing here? Is there quite a lot of 5-colour stuff in here? That's challenging. So 5 and 3. Oh, and a Glyn Iron film. Wow. So yeah, 39 lands. So the other one. Oh, it's not popping up. It's also got 39 lands. Oh, and there's a list of our new cards. Interesting. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful in trying to equate you with the set, and I haven't confused anybody too much by a couple of sort of misspeaks that I did there, which I then corrected as I went through and realised what was really going on. And that's always a danger when you're doing these set musings. I tend to just try and like do them from first impressions. And that way it's nice. It's like I'm sort of discovering the set for the first time, what in fact I am. So with obviously the help of MTG Wiki to just keep me on the straight and narrow. So it's an interesting thing to see. As you know, I don't buy these in paper anymore. I've tried to knock that on the head, and I don't think that is going to be the case. I certainly won't be buying any of the commander decks to open. That's not to say at some point I might not buy some of these in paper for various reasons, but at the moment this purely exists in my mind and virtually on the screen. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next episode.